So I thought we need to really talk about what to write with, what to write on. Some of you may already know exactly what you're going to use. Some of you may be thinking, I'm not quite sure. But there will be some tips either which way that maybe you haven't thought of. So the first thing, really, I cannot stress enough the importance of having a laptop. Now, it does not have to be a Samsung. I'm not advocating Samsung unless Samsung wants me to advocate them and they'll send me free laptops. It could be whatever technology group you subscribe to. The reason I say a laptop and not a desktop is really for ease of use. Now, as I've discussed before, we all have different places that we like to write and feel inspired in. So, you know, that might not be sat at your desktop, at your desk. For me, obviously, I need a laptop because, as I've discussed before, I prefer to write in bed where I'm comfy and I'm warm and I'm locked away from everyone and I just get on with it. So for me, you know, having a laptop, you can't have a desktop on your bed. So for me, a laptop. Now, either which way, I would always say you need some sort of digital device that you can type on. The reason I say this is because if, obviously, most writers want to go to a publisher. Most publishers now want you to send in a digital copy. This is for their own ease of use, because obviously, you know, not everyone has fantastic handwriting that you can read. It's also for ease of use because the person you particularly send your manuscript to might not be the person who reads it. What you have to think is a lot of the huge publishing houses will have hundreds and thousands of manuscripts coming in. And so one person is not going to sit there and read them all. What they have is people sort of under them that they give their manuscripts, the manuscripts to, and they will read through them and then decide, you know, which one should be passed back up to be read by the people who make the decisions. So I'm not saying that all publishers do this. I'm not saying that there isn't publishers out there that won't take a written manuscript. At Devante Publications, we would take a written manuscript because here we believe it's about the author. I set the company up because I was tired of authors being trampled on and ripped off by publication companies. So, you know, it's about the author. If you're more comfortable doing a written manuscript, I realise that I've now opened myself up to having a lot of my friends now sending me, as a joke, written manuscripts for me to read. But I'll just give them to Rick to read. But yeah, I would advocate. I mean, obviously there's a way around it. You might have a friend who has a laptop or a desktop that will type it up for you if you wanted to send it out. But really, I think laptops are fantastic, so I would go for that. That's not to say you can't use other digital devices, because laptops sometimes are not the best for taking with you places. I mean, obviously they're designed to be portable, but these days we have more portable equipment. For instance, my iPad, which is currently filming this. I lost my, it broke. I didn't lose it and I didn't break it. It kind of decided to have a little fire on the inside while charging it. It was not my fault, and I had to send it back to Apple, who agreed it was not my fault and sent me out a new one. So basically, I had to, when we went to Whitby, I had to take my laptop with me because my iPad decided to break a couple of days before one of the biggest events of my career, which is helpful. And then I realised how cumbersome a laptop is compared with having a tablet. So I do use a tablet. It's very good for when you're going away somewhere where you haven't got really the space to pack a laptop. A tablet is very good for taking with you. I have used a laptop for writing on and for editing on. So there are other devices you can use. It doesn't have to be a laptop, but for me, I find a laptop is the most useful. Just with having a full keyboard and, you know, the mouse and everything, I just think it's the ease of use makes it fantastic. Now there are other things. We've talked about tablets, other portable devices. So this is an iPhone, it could be whatever. I've never actually used my iPhone for doing anything other than updating social media. Now, I had a Samsung for a few years before this, Samsung smartphone, and it was the same. I'd never used it. The keyboard is too small, and it just, I just don't like it. That's not to say that you can't use it. It's not to say that you might not find that it's very useful. I have heard of a author who has written an entire book on a BlackBerry, that was, but and they made lots of money out of it. It wasn't a very good book, but they did make lots of money. So no accounting for taste, I suppose. But you know, clearly that worked for her, so it might work for you. The thing that I would recommend, the highest apart from the laptop, is a pen and paper. A little notebook and a pen. It can't run out of battery like your other devices, and you may say, haha, but it could run out of ink. It could run out of ink, but then what you can find is you can sort of scribe into the paper. I've done that before. It does work. Then you just put like some crayon over the top, and it works, okay? Where there's a will, there's a way. This by the side of your bed. In your car, I'm not advocating writing while driving, by the way, but in your car, so when you're out and about, in your bag for when you're out and about, but by the side of your bed is possibly the key here. Now you're probably thinking, why would you have that by the side of your bed? I would have that by the side of my bed because that is where I get a lot of my inspiration. Again, I'm starting to sound really pervy. I don't mean it like that. I get a lot of, because when you get into bed, you're sort of defragging, if you like, your brain is defragging the sort of day's events, and you're filing and you know, deleting what you don't need and all that. It's all going on in there. And whereas you may think, well, I'm just falling asleep, your brain is actually in overdrive. You might be dreaming, you might have a fantastic dream and wake up going, wow, that's a fantastic idea. Or while you're just laying there trying to get to sleep, for some reason, there's a piece of dialogue would just fly into your head and you think that's a fantastic piece of dialogue. Or something that you've been trying to work through dialogue story-wise will suddenly just click. The biggest lie you are going to tell yourself is that you will remember it in the morning. You won't. I swear to you, you won't. I have tried so many times. No, I don't need to get up. I will remember that in the morning because it is so fantastic. How would you forget? Trust me, you'll forget. It's terrible. So pen and paper by the side of the bed, just as soon as you get that idea, because otherwise you'll kick yourself for eternity that you've missed out on doing something, on writing something that you know is fantastic. So there you go. I would always say that what you need to do is have your desktop, laptop, whatever device you're using, set up an autosave, because, and it has happened to me in the distant past. It doesn't happen now because I have autosave set up. But when you're in the zone, you're there typing away, you're not paying attention to pressing that save button in the top corner. And what you will find, and you know, it's sod's law, is you will have written 50,000 words and you will think this is the best piece of work I've ever written. And all of a sudden, your technology will decide to have a little hissy fit for no reason other than it can, and it will either, you know, it will shut down, it will wipe all of your data, it will do whatever it damn well feels like, and you will lose all this stuff that you've worked on. So it's not great. So what I would recommend is always have it saved, because you will forever kick yourself if that happens. And I suppose finally, the last piece of advice is a hard copy. Now, you may be thinking, why a hard copy? You've already told us that, you know, hard copies. I will get on to rights, copyright management in a later series, in a later video. This, if Nigel's watching, it's the second book. I know how much you want to get your hands on this. These are fantastic for picking up mistakes and editing. Obviously, you know, you'll want to be writing on whichever, but I would recommend that you actually think about printing out a hard copy when you get to the editing stage, and you edit on a hard copy. Now, I don't exactly know the reason for this. I'm sure there is a scientific reason and answer. I don't exactly know, but a lot of my author friends agree with me that for some reason picking up mistakes is a lot easier on a hard copy than it is a digital copy. So if you have this digital, this hard copy, you can basically go through and mark anything that you need and put it in. It takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit more time than if you were to just do it, obviously, straight off on the computer. But obviously, again, as I said, I'll discuss this later. It gives you a hard copy to prove the progression of your work, and it just helps you pick up problems. I don't know why, but it just helps you pick them up better. This is not how I thought I would write, to be honest. When I was little, I used to watch the show Murder, She Wrote with Jessica Fletcher. Don't know if you know it. It's kind of like Columbo, murder mystery. Basically, she's a writer. She's a crime writer. And if you're a member of her acquaintance, you seem to get offed. You get murdered in some way, and she comes and investigates. So you don't really want to be friends with this person, because you might be at risk of murder. I mean, they made so many episodes. I don't even know how she managed to have that many friends still, to be honest. But the title sequence is her typing out one of her books, and she's on a typewriter. And I remember as a youngster looking at it and thinking, yes, that's how a writer does it. You know, you have a typewriter. It's traditional. It's you know, it's how you should do it. It's the proper thing to do. And I always imagined that I would always be sat there typing in my later life, in my career. That's not how I do it. I'm a big fan of antiques and vintage, so luckily I've been able to come across a few typewriters. They are very difficult to get hold of because obviously it's old technology. It'd be like you trying to get, you know, an old brick phone now. You know, you'd have to look in antique shops. When I come across them, they don't tend to be in great nick, and nick, sorry, that's quite an English word. Great condition, there we go. They don't tend to be in great condition, and what you find is you have to have special tape, which is the ink, and that's very difficult to get hold of these days as well. So if you manage to find one that's in good condition and you can get tape still for it, you're also looking at the practicality of the thing. You know, I always thought, you know, you hear the ting as you get to the end of the line, and I thought, oh, isn't that fantastic? You know, this, you know, that sound that you've actually achieved getting to the end of the line, and the sort of click, 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 click of the buttons, fantastic. But then when I actually got to use one, and it was kind of like, how many words can I do in a minute? It was, whether I would get used to it, I don't know, but the ease of use just wasn't there. The ease of use that I'm used to, of just, you know, on touch typing on a laptop. I think I'll probably get a typewriter later on in life, and enjoy that just for having as a you know, a piece of kit that I admire. But yeah, we all have our different ways of doing things. There might be people out there going, well, I want to use a typewriter. It's down to you. But I wish you good luck in your future work, and I guess the next thing we'll be talking about is sort of what to write, how to write, you know. But anyway, take care and good luck.